Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pick Me Godcast. We're going to be getting started in just under 2 minutes here. In the meantime, I need everybody to hit that like button. Share this out on your social media platforms right now. And let everybody know that we are going live with another episode of the Pick Me Godcast. Featuring your lovely hosts, Brown Skin Baddie and Nicety Girl. So we're going to be getting started in just a few minutes. Y'all sit tight and get your mind right. We're going to have another great conversation tonight. Y'all know how we do it. Peace and black love. One minute remaining. Seconds remaining.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, caught me off guard here.
Hey, that's all right. How has your week been, sis?
So far, so good. You know what? Tomorrow's Friday. Weekend coming up. My sister's coming down from Vegas, so I get to see her, and she's bringing one of her grandkids. So yeah, we're gonna hang out. Maybe go to the casino.
Yes.
Do something fun.
I am loving that. Well, this weekend is going to be all about Super Bowl here in Arizona. And also my birthday is Saturday. So I'm like,
happy birthday.
I'm really excited. God is good. So I can't complain. And hello to you all out there that's here seeing me and my sis, Nicety Girl. You are tuning in into the Pick Me Godcast. So glad you're here.
Yeah.
So glad. I got my little drinky drink.
I got my water. I'm drinking water tonight.
Celebration all week for me, sis. So I gotta enjoy the last couple days of me being this age because I'll never have it again. So cheers.
Cheers. I love a good cheers.
Okay, so sis, you chose this topic tonight. So I wanted to ask you, can you tell the audience the topic and why you thought this topic would be so imperative to our listeners and audience out there today?
So the topic for tonight's conversation is gender roles, right? I think the topic is very, very important because some of us has gotten lost in the sauce, if you will. You know, there's a lot of women out there, not to say that we don't have both. Women do have feminine and masculine, energies. And if both energies are used in the proper context, right, it's okay. But we have too many that's too masculine, right? Mm-hmm. The roles are flipping. How we see that, I don't know if you saw that video that sister proposing to that man. Yeah, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So, I just think that we need to, talk about gender roles, what I'm saying, especially for the younger people that's coming up, that's dating, that's starting to feel like they want to be married, but sometimes people want to be married to the idea of marriage, but don't really know what marriage entails and how much work it is, and understanding that there are roles. We all have roles, and there are specific roles for the man, the head, the leader, the provider, the protector, right? And then there's that role for that wife, the mother, the nourisher, also the provider to her family. you know, the provider of love, you know, and nourishment and care and things like that. So we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about
I'm loving all of that. But before we do, we have a special guest on tonight. We have the boxer, the phenomenal Elijah the Wolf Pierce is joining us tonight. Hey, Elijah.
Hello, Elijah.
Hey, how y'all doing? And like I
We
said,
are-
appreciate y'all for having me.
Thank you for coming.
We are so happy to have you. Perfect. So, who wants to start it off? Why are gender roles important to society?
Well, speaking from a younger perspective, I was married. I was married for 5 years. At an early age, at 21, and my ex-spouse was 18. So obviously, I felt like I could give some good intake on as far as the situation. Gender roles are definitely important just because, especially nowadays, because I feel like there's a blurred line pretty much. Like nowadays, a lot of young women, modern women, they're not really into the traditional aspect of dating anymore. And by traditional, I mean, well, at least in my case, like I said, and by traditional, I mean, as in we build organically and grow a relationship based on mutual trust, and ultimately, we'll have a better outcome of sustaining a relationship based off of that. And I think now people just kind of get used to the whole situationship aspect of dating, and then ultimately, once that occurs, once nothing materializes from the relationship, then I think they just kind of move on or go to the next person. And there's really no true commitment to getting to know one another, to actually establishing a sincere connection to where you both can grow and you both can, you learn about each other and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So
I
like
think
you.
I love the part where he says the blurred line, because in today's society, you got the LGBTZ, without going too deep into the community. And, one of the things that really, really, and I have to say this, I love all people. And if you, whatever your sexuality is and preference, that's your business. But my thing is, I have this issue with transgender women wanting to pose this whole idea that you are actual women. You're even offended with the Aretha Franklin song. Like, what's happening today in today's society? It's getting blurry, real blurry.
Very blurry. And then also is disrespectful for a transgender woman or man to woman to speak for women. You can't speak for me because we don't have, the same we're just not the same. We're not built the same. Yeah.
Yeah, body likeness, everything.
Nothing. You're not the same.
We're not the same.
And I don't
believe it or not, even in my profession, they're creating a whole subdivision base for trans people in boxing.
Right. I like that idea.
Yeah, I like that.
I like the idea of trans women competing against actual women. That's no competition.
Yeah, that's not right.
Wow.
Yeah, but even then, to me, the whole ideal just of it is kind of crazy though. I'm not, no disrespect to the LGBT, TQ community. I just that's a little wild to me. Like men they're aligning themselves as women, saying they're women, and they're wanting to compete as women, but against one another. But and they're actually males, so it's kind of I don't know. That's kind of
I left that thinking up to them, because honestly, I can't understand it. So there's some things that I come to understand that I just won't understand. But I do like what Nicey and you both said that I thought was very contingent on this subject, and that was, Nicey brought up how our world is now. It's making our women, and even from the very beginning, masculine. It's so funny on my live last night I had with some gentlemen. I told them, as a Black woman, I'm not afforded many spaces to be feminine.
Right.
I have to lead at work. I have to lead when it comes to so many areas of my life as a single Black female. I don't get many places in comparison to my white counterparts, my Asian, Latina counterparts, where they have room to be feminine. I don't necessarily have that afforded to me as a Black woman. Can you relate to that, Nicey, at all?
Absolutely, absolutely. And also the expectation that we're supposed to be strong all the time and not soft. You know, we hear all the time. I hear from my friends, you know, from family, oh, you're so strong, you know, or, you know, oh, you a strong Black woman. I don't want to be called a strong Black woman. I'm strong because I have to be, or what you deem as strong is just me handling my business. I go to work, you know, take care of my child, I take care of myself. You know what I mean? That doesn't make me a strong Black woman. That's just me taking care of my business. That's just, you know, I'm not strong, and I don't want to be, if that makes sense. I want to be in a position, in a place where I'm allowed to be soft. I'm allowed to be vulnerable. I'm allowed, you know, to cry maybe. Women are not even allowed to cry anymore. Oh, you soft, you a punk. We can call punks, you know, for a lot, you know, being emotional. We're not allowed anymore to even show emotion, to care. You know, we're pushing to a masculine
we
world.
are in a society and an economy that doesn't even care about your Black tears. We live in an economy where, in a world where white fragility is very prevalent. So your Black tears, your Black people missing, none of that matters, because you got bills to pay, you got a family to take care of. You don't got time to sit and cry. You got to get up and go make some stuff happen. So, and then with our males, you know, goes back to the Willie Lynch letter. You know, the conditioning where the mothers, in fear of the world out there, they're coddling their males and pushing their females out. Go out, work, go out, do this. But we're coddling our males so much that they're taking on feminine traits instead of learning leadership skills, what it means to get out there with their own two hands and go and work, what it means to be a man. The fathers aren't in the home. There's so many things that are intricately put in place to continue the dysfunction of the gender role idea. You know what
I definitely agree with that. I also feel that there's, I don't know, it kind of feels like on the other tip though, like when it comes to men, that we kind of have to bear a extra responsibility, almost kind of pertaining to women. And it's like women have control the access to sex and procreation. Obviously, we know that, you know, and us men, you know, we control pretty much relationships for the most part, because as men, we're supposed to be the provider. You know, we're supposed to ensure, you know, the safety of the family and everything else. But like I said, even now, I feel like many women, since they're kind of being put in more positions of power in the workplace, even regardless if the man is fulfilling that duty of, you know, let's say paying all the bills and whatnot, they're still not necessarily following traditional means of being a woman and stepping into their femininity. And I feel like that's another thing that's kind of causing friction between the two, and from self-experience as well.
I agree. I agree. And that's all by design. You know, like they say, Black women are the leaders, you know, in college, you know, graduations, in college graduates. All of these things are by design. Black men are the leaders of being in prison. All of this is by design. So we understand that, and we know that it's best that we choose people that are in line with our personal values. You know what I mean?
Right.
We are, a lot of times, and I can say for myself, you know, and again, I've spoken openly, you know, on the show, just like you, Elijah. I got married early. I got married at 20. He was 22. I had just turned 20. You know what I mean? And so we lasted like 4 years or whatever, but I was not tapped into my femininity. I was raised by a single mother, a strong Black woman, if you will. You know what I mean? I didn't understand, you know, what being submissive was and what allowing him to lead was, because none of those things I was taught. I never saw it ever, you know. So when you're not taught certain things, you know what I mean? And also I think I got married, one, because I had a kid, two, and I was excited about the idea of marriage, being a bride, someone loving me enough to, you know, put a ring on it. But we did everything probably within a year. Like literally having a child and getting married within a year, like everything. We did not get to know each other enough to know that if we were spiritually, connected. I think that we put a lot of emphasis on the physical part, especially when you're young, because that is new, kind of, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
fun.
and of course,
So
and
it
some
gets
people express
cloudy.
like that. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I mean,
It's interesting that you both said some things that were so prevalent into this topic because I heard you, Elijah, mention, you were married to your wife for 5 years. Nicey, you were married to your husband for 4 years. But still, our grandmothers and grandfathers back then, they still were married young, but they still held on to some things. Although they didn't necessarily know, hey, do we match? Do we connect? Do we? It was more so, well, a lot of people that I know is more so on survival. So they weren't getting married because it's a survival technique. I think in this generation, the commitment thing, I don't know what it is with this
comfort.
It's gratification generation, which we mentioned on our live the last time. It's something about commitment. We live in a generation too where the internet is right at our fingertips. Oh, he don't want to work out. Let me go to my internet and see what other brother in the DMs today.
Right.
Or
That's what it's comfort. Everybody's comfortable.
Exactly.
So and we don't know conflict resolution. We don't know how to talk things out. We don't know how to resolve issues. We don't know how to communicate with each other to make it better. We're not going to say our grandparents didn't go through stuff. They did, but they worked it out and they made an effort to work it out. They fought for their marriages. They fought for their loves. They fought for their, for their families. And not to say, people are not going to make mistakes even in between that. It may not happen for 5 or 10 years. Mistakes are going to happen. How are we going to get through? Because divorce is not an option. I'm choosing to love you through it all, but that's a choice. We're not making the choice to love in spite of. We're not fighting for our marriages. We're not fighting for our relationships, for our families. We're just like, okay, on to the next, exposing your children, to different, counterparts, etc. That's not okay either because they don't get a sense of commitment.
But see, Sincere Love the God says, I think then brown skin that the women were more reliant on the men too. So they had more incentive to work it out. However, we need to have incentive to work it out now because like I was telling the fellas on my live back then, yesterday, legacy is not built with one person. You need 2 people to build the legacy. You can't do it alone. So regardless, we need to get back in that mindset of the incentive of making it work for our Black families. We need that in today's time. Look at the world around us. This is not a joke. You know what I'm saying? So I know when I get married, moving forward, we ain't leaving. That's it. Go in your
divorce is not an option. Sit your tail down
and we'll work it out.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. We might not talk about it today, but sir, we are going to talk about it. We're going to work this and I understand now the importance, like you said, of legacy. You know what I'm saying? Of generational wealth and passing things down. You know what I'm saying? So because I understand the importance of that, I tell my friends a lot. I grew up around friends that had both parents, and I didn't. And I always felt robbed. Because it was always just me and my mother. You know what I'm saying? So honestly, hindsight is 2020. I'm not surprised that I got divorced because my mama got married young and she got divorced young. She had her, children young, so it's like, but we weren't taught in a way. My grandmother got married at 16. She had 9 children, but she also got divorced young. Left Texarkana to come, to California and left her husband there. He never came. Never. You know what I'm saying? So it's also generational curses that we have to break.
Talk about it.
Yeah, honestly, speaking of generational curses, it's so amazing. Like I actually lived I would say like a very reminiscent life of my parents. Well, especially my father. Like I'm extremely close with my parents. I was a child of divorce, and I mean, and fortunately, I was lucky enough to have my biological father and my stepfather, and both of them be involved in my life and everything. So as I grew up, I was lucky enough to be a little more be a little bit more seasoned because I always grew up around older people. So when it came to my my morals, principles, manners, everything, they've always been aligned in the right place just based off that. So, but when it comes to me dating, like it's never worked out really in my favor. And I really recently just kind of figured out why. I don't know, just kind of just doing some thinking or whatever. But mainly because I remember I was talking to a female about dating. You know, we met on social media or whatever. We was thinking about going on a date. And as I was, as we were conversing or whatever, she was basically, I had asked her, I said, if she could send me a picture. Obviously, for several reasons, and I just wanted to obviously confirm her identity. I wanted to, just
catfish talk.
Right.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and even admire her, of course. Like I said, she was, as far as from what I've seen, she was a pretty woman or whatever. So I wanted, just to confirm those things and whatnot. And I know that she was kind of giving me a hard time. And then when we spoke, as far as when she asked me about what I wanted, I told her, I said, well, currently, I would like to be a little more focal on myself at this present time, but I am open to dating, and I'm open to, obviously organically building something. And if it's, if I feel reciprocated energy, maybe, I would be a little more inclined to like start a relationship. And it's like, I don't think she wasn't really understanding that. She was kind of like, oh, well, I guess I'll just automatically put you in the friend zone. And I was like, well, I mean, I guess if you want to, that's fine. But to me, that's not really the purpose of what I'm trying to do. I mean, if we remain friends, that's fine. But what I'm saying is that how can I even decide to enter into a relationship with you if I truly don't know you?
Right.
If we haven't had the time necessarily to really organically build and find out about one another. Because obviously with anybody, within the first couple months of dating, everybody knows you go through the honeymoon phase because it's new, it's fresh. You have, especially if you're having sex and everything else, you're that, all that stuff. Once that part's over and you actually have to deal with that person truly, then that's when all the mishaps start. And like I said, that's been something that's happened to me several times. And so after I learned that lesson, then, I also think that's, young men like myself, young women, we gotta wise up to that as well. And actually really have a plan on what we're trying to do with people instead of just dealing with them based off the fact that they're attractive or, or they're giving you attention or you might, affection or whatever the case may be. We actually need to look and try to find out about that person and see if, like I said,
are you compatible?
Exactly.
And vetting a person is definitely an important component to a successful relationship, Elijah. So you're definitely on the right track. And to add to that, in my 30s, I had to be real with myself and self-aware of myself. I said, you know what? I need to go back to the basics and learn what it means to be a feminine woman. What does it mean? What is my role? How do I play that? Because for all of my life, I grew up in the projects. I had to take care of my mama. I had to take care of my family members. I don't know what it looks like because I've been working since I was 12. So I don't know what it means to actually be a woman. What does that look like? Because I've seen my mother work all day, all night, 2 jobs. I had to come in and step up and take care of my brothers and sisters. So I didn't really, like Nicey mentioned, have the examples like so many others when it comes to that feminine example. So I had to go back, and I'm still going back.
Right.
To the basics of learning and retraining my mind on what it means to be a woman, how to show that vulnerability, how to let the guard down, how to use my right voice, because sometimes a lot of women have the resting B face. Y'all know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
You got a growl and a scowl on your face for no reason. The brothers can't even say hi to you without you just looking like, what you want. It's like, dang, I can't even just say good morning.
I feel like how can we teach without us being unnecessarily allowed to? That's kind of like a question I guess I have to, like, for women, you know, for just women in general, like how, because I don't know, it's really hard to lead a woman when you know, it comes with a lot of flack and a lot of, you know, back, you know, of course, nagging, back talk or whatever, or like disapproval of maybe the way that you're doing things. I mean, I don't know, it's been several things. I'm trying to actually like get all my examples together. I'm thinking thinking
No,
about
I think one is
you're
just
saying.
patience. We have to learn patience, you know, with each other, men and women, because we all have been through so much. And I think that in that courtship, when you're getting to know each other, you know, if when women are presented, especially men are presented with a safe space to be open and vulnerable, you know, and you learn about people's past, their families, etc., it gives you more understanding and more compassion, you know, to want to kind of like, okay, I see now I have to handle this person with a little bit of care because he's been through something or she's been through something. But we have to have that comfort too. You know I have to be comfortable with someone to allow myself to be vulnerable. But I think men especially, you know what I'm saying, they will not open up until they feel safe to be able to do that. We as women have to make it comfortable and safe for men to be able to open to us, especially during the courting stage. You know,
that's
to
always been
be
the
vulnerable.
opposite for me. In my case, I've always been the leading man to necessarily open up and see, because even though I did become divorced and whatnot, I had all the reason to change my personality, and I could have became cold and could have became the player. You know, I had many, you know, many women wanting to date me, speak with me. I could have, you know, easily fell into that role, but I chose to commit to who I am, and instead not let those, you know, not let the negativity that happened to me change the character within myself. So I don't know. So that's kind of another thing too. I understand that people have much trauma, especially within relationships. You know, a lot of people have trust issues. A lot of people, you know, aren't willing to. That's a question I actually ask women at the gate. Is your trust conditional, or are you willing to give it at the gate? See, me, I actually believe in giving my trust out the gate, because if I don't, how are we able, how are we going to be able to really grow as quickly as we both would like to if I don't trust you?
Elijah, do you have any little girls? Do you have little girls?
Yep.
Ah,
You called it. You called it.
I
Hi.
want to say this because I feel like as a woman, I feel like for me, my trust is earned. I feel like, and the reason why I say that, Elijah, is because just to give you a little bit of my story.
Mhm.
Grew up in the projects, you know, I had to have this tough exterior because every smiling face that wants to give you this idea of trust doesn't mean they have the intention like you have
Yeah,
a
pure intent, absolutely.
pure intention, but not every man has that. You know what I'm saying? So
Not even one.
as I've learned that for women, it's a little different. The men, I feel like as a leadership quality, if it's a woman that you're intentionally trying to court, you're going to have to be trustworthy, open like that off the gate, because that's giving her that safe space, like Nicey said, to be able to trust his leadership skills for her to be in her feminine. You get, does that make sense?
Yes,
Because otherwise, her guard is up. It's like, what is his intention? What does he want with you? Is he genuine? And these are questions you would want your daughter to ask, you know, when she's courting or she's dating a man, you know, like who is
absolutely. She definitely gonna be well equipped. I'm not going for
Right.
it.
absolutely, absolutely. Sincere Love the God says, I think as a man, you have to be able to trust yourself. Ooh.
Agreed. Agreed. But that's
Yeah.
also that trusting of yourself is also going to be coming from your trust in a higher power. You know what I'm saying? If you're not a person that trusts God, right, then you can't trust yourself. Until a man lets go and let God lead him, then It's your energy itself is going to let a woman know that she can trust you, and she's going to fall in line to your leadership automatically. I can say personally, I have not necessarily had that, but I was carrying the wrong energy though. So I was attracting what I was, unfortunately. So it took me to recognize, what was wrong with me, right? To fix me before I can begin to start to attract what it is that I was looking for. So a lot of times, you have to make sure that the women that you are dating, one, she's tapped into her femininity. She has
Yes.
addressed whatever traumas and
Issue.
situations that she has had. And even if she hasn't, if she finds a way to trust you enough, you can guide her through that healing process, which will bring you two closer.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And she has to be willing. That's one of the things I realized too in this
Yeah.
walk.
See that's a big one. Yeah, exactly.
You have to be
You
willing.
have to be willing though.
That's a skill. That's
Yeah.
a skill set. People don't realize the willingness, the willpower is a skill. Like you have to be willing to be cooperative, to be submissive, it's a skill. And you have to train yourself to do it every day. It's just like I said on the last live that we had, Nicey. I said, we can go to these jobs and do what our bosses say.
Right.
If
But we
a man
won't follow.
is making a request for our home and he is the CEO, the pilot, and you're the co-pilot, you have to relinquish and say, you know what, baby, I'm going to trust your vision for wherever we're going and whatever we're doing. That's a skill.
Okay, so I agree, right? But I think also sometimes we as women, again, it's easy to fall in line with that when you know this person is capable of leading. I haven't found that. You know what I'm saying? I have been in situations where, you know, I had to almost lead and guide us, through, some situations or whatever. I've had situations, case in point, years ago, this has been like over 10 years, obviously, 12, 13 years ago, I got laid off of a job, went to work, not knowing what was going to happen, get there. We're like 3-4 hours in. They come in there like, this is the situation, blah, blah, blah. I come home, he's here. And I'm just like, yo, like I was, laid off today. And the only thing was like, oh, you'll be okay because you're a go-getter. Now, yeah. And that's okay to say. But at that time, he wasn't working.
So he just you the go-getter.
In that moment, yes, I'm a go-getter. I knew what I was capable of. I know my skills in the field that I'm in. But in that moment, I wanted to hear, we gonna be okay. I'm gonna make sure, X, Y, and Z. As a man or as a woman, I wanted to hear my man say that. And I didn't get that. And y'all, I didn't argue or anything because I was already kind of stressed out a little bit about the situation. But I came in my room and I was just like, did I just hear, him say, oh, you a go-getter, you gonna go get it. Not we gonna go get it, or I got you, I'm gonna get out here, do what I gotta do, whatever the case may be. It was just like automatically the weight was put on me.
How did that make you feel?
Horrible. I literally came in my room. I can remember this like it was yesterday. And I cried because, and I wasn't crying over losing my job. I was crying because I didn't feel like my man had my back. I didn't feel like he was going to step up and provide. You know what I'm saying? What if things went south? What if I couldn't find something right away? What are you going to do other than rely on me, the go-getter, to go, pick everything up?
Right.
It was very, very hurtful.
Actually, that question that Sincere asked, like that's actually something I wanted to ask as well. Like you said, so what does it take for a woman to submit? Because even like just how you gave an example, I have one as well. I remember it was one particular argument that I had with an ex of mine. I remember we were chilling in my room, whatever. We were hugging actually, and she was complaining about because she was staying with me at the time, and it was new. It was a new move. I did my very best to make the transition as smooth as possible. What I'm saying? She also had a child as well, so I made sure to provide, like, made sure her child had everything, all the provisions she needed, a bed, just everything she needed, and I remember she was telling me about how she don't have any friends, and she was, you know, just complaining more so about the move or whatever. So I'm trying to be, you know, helpful, and I'm listening, and I'm like, well, you know, we've went out several times or whatever, and you've been around my friends and their women or whatever. Why don't you try to make friends with them? Because they were very accepting towards you. And you know, she kind of shrugged it off. Oh, well, I don't know them. I don't want to deal with them. Well, and then I'm kind of like, well, I mean, what do you want? What do you expect me to do? I mean, what do you want to happen? You know, if you want friends, you have to put yourself in position to make friends.
Right.
You know, and she just didn't want to hear it. So I was like, okay. So, and then she was basically expressing, oh, well, it's kind of unfair how I have to stay at home with the kids. I mean, why I have to go to work? But she had worked a receptionist job, and he said, while you stay home and not do shit. Now, mind you, I'm a professional boxer. I risk my life day in and day out. Obviously, like I said, I take punches to the head, onto the face, onto my, you know, body on a consistent basis. You know, I have to lose weight over a period of time. There's times where I have to starve myself. There's times where I can't eat. Like my last fight, I had to lose 30 pounds in 4 weeks. You know, I mean, there's just all types of sacrifices and ramifications of boxing that are, you know, there's a reason why it's called the hardest sport in the world, and that's solidified through Guinness. I mean, it's like that. So for her to say that, of course, I'm like, hold on, what? So I just asked her. I said, okay, so excuse me, she had said, well, I didn't mean it like that. As soon as she said it, I said, oh, okay, well, how did you mean it? And she didn't want to tell me. And I said, okay. I mean, I'm not upset or anything. I just want to know how you meant it. Then, oh, no, whatever. I did whatever. Kept trying to shrug it off. So I went to take a run. I came back. When, you know, I was calmed down. Just like, okay, look, I just want to address it. I appreciate single thing you do for me. I appreciate every single thing you do for the kids. I appreciate every aspect that you bring to the table. But do not get shit twisted. What I do is not comparable to what you do, because I'm a man and I am the one that's the patriarch of this family. I'm the one who's taking care of you and these children, you know, and I'm doing my best to do so. Meaning, like, anytime you need me for anything, I give the money to you automatic. Even if I don't really have the money, I make sure I go and get the money to give to you, just so you can never say that I'm not providing for you, or I'm not giving, or I'm not, you know, I'm not being masculine or whatever sense of that. And it ultimately still was never enough, you know, from the chivalry, you know, to like me, I don't even let women open doors, period. Car doors, regular doors, period. You don't touch door handles with when you're with me or whatever. It's like those types of values, those things, they're underappreciated. I feel like, although I feel like women don't really want a traditional man. Well, they say they want a traditional man, but they're not really willing to be traditional women anymore as well. You know, they'd rather be in a masculine position, and they'd rather pretty much, they say that they want a man or whatever to lead them, but they still want to be on the sideline, still basically in control of the trajectory of the relationship. At least how I feel.
Mm-hmm. I agree, and I think sometimes maybe especially in your 20s, you know, maybe they don't have the true understanding of what traditional relationship is. You know, because,
honestly,
you know, you may have
I don't mean
mothers
to
that
interrupt
still
as well.
super young. I don't know.
I've dated from 21 to 40, and
Okay.
yeah, so I mean that's never, like I said, because I am considered an old soul or whatever. Like I said, that's never really been a issue as far as the age part. That alone shows me that it's really just the psyche aspect, because I've had similar predicaments with when, you know, women who were above, you know, and it's crazy.
They
to
have
me.
fathers. Did these women have fathers in their lives?
Yeah, some did, some didn't. You know, so like I said, my ex-wife, you know, it was understandable more so for her, I mean, as much as I don't like it, and I think it was extremely selfish, but I understand. And that was the main thing why I was able to have closure from my marriage, because she basically left after we had a situation. We had our first separation, and then we had another incident which ultimately led to the end of our marriage. But pretty much the second, I mean, really both situations. The second situation, when that erupted, the pretty much it was like solely her decision to do what she did, and then she just left. And I was very shocked and confused, because, like I said, obviously we were married, we have a child and everything else, and she was willing to sacrifice all that based on her want and necessity to experience adulthood on her own, and then really figure out life for herself. Now, and the crazy part was, it was like, okay, well, why? I mean, I'm trying to understand, like, okay, so you never had none of this thought process while you were in bed with me, and we created a whole child, and then on top of that got married after. You still wanted to proceed with those things while with these feelings. So of course that part is, that's what got me as well. So
I
I
think
don't know,
that's the
for
selfish part of her. I think, though, because she got married at 18, even though our grandparents did it. My grandmother, I found her marriage license. She was 16, although she lied on the marriage license and put she was 19. But they got married, super young. I think that she may have been obviously in love with you and the idea of marriage, but not necessarily ready.
oh yeah,
You know what
I
I'm
mean,
saying? She just wasn't ready. And then, unfortunately, I think she should have communicated that with you, but she did that out of selfishness and fear, because she didn't know, what's really out there. Is he going to treat me like him? Because she already had the security. She knew how she was being treated at home. She didn't know how the next person was going to treat her outside of the physical part. So
right.
the selfish her was like, I'm going to do this and see how it is. Maybe this person made her feel like everything was going to be gravy, and she took that chance. She gambled her family. She gambled her family possibly for nothing.
And then maybe we'll come back to her eventually and she'll have to learn. But I do want to answer Sincere Love the Guy's question. What can men do to create more of a safe space and make women feel comfortable enough to submit? And for me, it's consistency, baby. I need to see that
Always.
consistency. I need to see it. If you really say you as dedicated as you are, you really want this as much as you say you want it, that's going to take two people with a level of commitment to be committed to their commitments, and that takes consistency. So if I don't see consistency, deuces, bruh. Take care.
I'll say consistency for me, comfort, consistency, comfort, because I have to be comfortable with you. Mental stability. I can,
I would say
if I feel that you're mentally
loyalty
stable.
and
Say that again?
emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Loyalty and emotional intelligence.
Yeah, I was trying not to give them too many, but I'm gonna just give one more: consistency and accountability. I need to
And
see them
you know what? I have that on my
accountable.
list.
I mean, accountability. Yeah, that's a given though. Accountability,
Woo!
and
No, it ain't a give and take. And some of our brothers and sisters out here need help.
no,
Mm-hmm.
no,
Okay,
no, you're
including
right.
myself.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm saying it's supposed to be. Again,
It's supposed to be, but that's a skill that even myself, sometimes I have to check myself, like, okay, Lily, how you did that wasn't right. Your tone, you address this, So accountability is a huge one.
I have
All
that
right,
written
so we
down.
are at this 7:45 mark, people. What is
exactly.
That's a lie.
Honestly,
I believe in
I've really yet
accountability.
to experience a woman
Women
who's
don't believe in
truly strong.
accountability. You know what, Sincere? We're gonna get you. But we want to thank each and every one of you for joining the Pick Me podcast tonight with my beautiful, our beautiful guest who is just here as a great example on today for our men, holding it down for the brothers, being a great, great, great example of what a man is. Thank you, Elijah, for joining us on tonight. Nicey, you
Thank
have
you.
anything you want to say before we
I
go?
do. I just want to say that also, a good feminine woman she understands her man's, and both a good man too. We both will understand each other's strengths and weaknesses, right? And me as a good woman, I'm going to minimize the weakness in you, right? I'm going to assist you. Like, he could be short-tempered. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to egg on my short-tempered man if we out and about and somebody, you know, says something wrong. I know he has a short temper, and I'm going to be like, yeah, let's get him. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to minimize that, you know, for our family to keep him out of trouble. So I think it's important for us to know each other's strengths and our weaknesses, you know, and help each other, you know. So say that. So thank you again, Elijah, for doing the Pick Me Godcast. We do appreciate you. Thank you, sis, for doing the Pick Me Godcast with me. You know, I don't feel like, honestly, I could do this by myself. I knew I couldn't do it by myself, and I'm so happy.
Oh no, we lost her. Well, that's okay. Until next time, Nicey and I want to thank you guys so much for joining us on tonight. Until next time, we wish you the best. Thank you for joining the Pick Me Godcast. Take care. Bye.
Peace, God.
Hey, Dad. He's so good.
Hey, man, I got you a new book.
A new book?
Check it out. Check it out. Let me know how you like it. I'll be back. Man, this Bitcoin, this Ethereum ain't doing nothing for me right now, man. Gotta find some new investments.
Peace, God. What you doing?
Peace, God. Good.
I think this book is kind of inappropriate.
Inappropriate? What's up with it?
It's inappropriate because look at these.
LGBT. Oh, man, I'm sorry about that, God.
I accept your apology.
Man, it's a shame, man. You can't even find no decent books for you nowadays without having to have these difficult conversations.
I have an idea.
What's
Maybe
that?
we should make a series of our own book.
A book series? That is a good idea.
7 volumes.
7, I get it. 7 volumes. What should we call it?
7 the Super Hey-Roo.
7 the Super. Perfect. 7 the Super Hey-Roo.
And then maybe we could even make some bundles of it once we get to volume 3.
Oh, see, now you're thinking like a businessman. I like that idea, man. A foundational Black American children's series.
Perfect.
Visit www.godcastbooks.com and pre-order your book today.
Sunshine.
Wisdom is the wise word spoken by the wise man. Wisdom is also symbolic to the black woman. Long natural hair, short with the waves. I give a shout out to my sisters with the curly braids. They call it 4C, we call it non-ether. She suffer autoimmune and formed alopecia. So keep a black woman's name out your fucking mouth. I will slap a nigga brains out his fucking scalp. They on demon time, she on guard time. Let's take a walk, we gon' see what's on the goddess mind.